Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 47 of Your Take, My Take by John and Jacob. I'm John.
I'm Jacob.
And today we wanted to give you our top 5 fantasy football quarterbacks for this upcoming season, and also give you some sleepers and some potential bust or overrated players. And so, like we always do, we're going to start off with a coin flip. Jacob's been on his win streak. Let's see if he continues. Go ahead.
Tails.
Dang it.
Yeah, I'm too good now.
All right. So who do you want? You want to go first this time?
Go first.
You want me to go first? What do you want? Sleepers or bust?
Whatever you want. Sleeper or bust, it doesn't matter.
All right. So I'll start off with bust or potential people who are getting getting drafted too early, in my opinion. I think the very first one is Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of people are thinking that he's going to have a big breakout season. And I think Jalen Hurts hasn't proven himself to be a passer. And that what they see is that he's a good runner and that he's got better weapons. But still, he had all those weapons in Alabama and struggled and eventually got overtaken by Tua. And we know how good Tua is in the NFL.
Yeah, he's just so good.
And so I think Jalen Hurts is probably one of the most overrated and potential busts. I also have Jacob's quarterback, Trey Lance. I think people are picking him up way too early. He's very unproven. The things that we saw from him last year, he looked like a very unpolished passer and decision maker. We know he's got the natural athletic ability and he's got the playmakers around him, but he just doesn't have the ability to play quarterback in the NFL right now. So, the two in common that I have between those two is that they're both athletic and have the skill set and the athletic ability to put up big points in the fantasy world, but the problem is they have yet to really produce, and so I think they're getting overdrafted and they're the biggest potential bust. What do you think?
The thing about fantasy football is that a quarterback does not have to be a skilled passer. I would rather prefer a Jalen Hurts than let's just say a Derrick Carr, because a rushing touchdown is far more points than a passing touchdown. I find that offensive because I had him last year. And he
both
was
of your quarterbacks?
And he was a great quarterback. He was a top 5 when healthy.
Yeah, but he faded quickly down.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's still, he was a good quarterback. My bust, I'll give you 2: Derrick Carr and Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, go ahead.
I think if you drafted Aaron Rodgers this year, you might not be a very skilled fantasy football player. But he lost a lot of people. We just don't know. He doesn't have a lot of rushing upside,
he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it doesn't matter for fantasy football. If you don't rush the ball, then you're not going to be a great. You gotta always depend on him scoring 3 to 4 touchdowns a game. So I think if you drafted him or a Derek Carr, I don't know about that.
But both are different spectrums. Derek Carr actually improved his lineup and his players around him. Aaron Rodgers took a step back, maybe in losing Devontae, but they're two different type of potential quarterbacks.
Derek Carr every year has been a very solid quarterback, but he's just never gotten over the hump because he just can't produce rushing wise. Because rushing is the biggest step in terms of elite to just pretty good.
So according to you, you should have Lamar Jackson as number 1 on your list.
Oh yeah,
as number 1 according to your analysis. Okay, we'll see.
Who is your quarterback?
We'll see who your top 5 is then after that, because according to your analysis, you said Lamar should be number 1.
Well, no, there's a different quarterback that rushes.
Okay, all right. Let's go to your sleeper picks then.
Trey Lance.
Of course you're gonna say that.
I don't know why you.
Okay. Who else?
That's it, Trey Lance.
Just Trey Lance?
Okay, I can give you why Trey Lance. Last year, Jalen Hurts was a breakout star because he just brushed a lot. I see the same thing in Trey Lance, but I think he is a more polished passer. Of course, he was in college. He's on a brilliant-minded offensive coordinator and coach. I think the team is set up for Trey Lance more than a Jalen Hurts. I think he's a very safe and reliable
Trey Lance?
Yeah, Trey Lance.
If Jimmy G and Trey Lance had a legitimate football battle for the starting position this summer, Jimmy G would have won because Jimmy G's a more polished NFL passer. But the problem is that the Giants or the 49ers drafted him too early, and now they're stuck with him. They're hitching their future on him. So you better hope that he is a sleeper.
If he rushes, has a terrible throwing game, but he rushes for 2 touchdowns, that's all I need. I think if you drafted him, you're probably a very well educated on fantasy football. So that's all I'm thinking.
I just think a lot of people reach for Trey Lance and also for Jalen Hurts. My two sleepers, I'll give you a very deep sleeper, is Tua. I think Tua's supporting staff has substantially improved. He's got great receivers. He's got plenty of fast running backs, and he's always had a decent offensive line. Well, not last year, but his offensive line has improved. And so I think Tua, if you're looking to get a deep, you don't have anyone else in the draft, Tua is there, and he put big numbers. The other person I have is Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is getting slept on because of the fact that they lost Davante Adams. No one's saying the same thing about Patrick Mahomes, who lost Tyreek Hill. All of a sudden, Patrick Mahomes loses Tyreek, and he's still rated in the top 5. But Aaron Rodgers, who's a proven winner, loses Davante Adams, and all of a sudden he's going to be one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. That's ridiculous.
Well, they didn't do anything.
That's ridiculous. He had huge numbers last year. He threw for 37 touchdowns and over 300 yards. He had huge numbers. I think he's a great quarterback, and great quarterbacks aren't depending on only one player to make him great. And so I have Aaron Rodgers. You can draft him really late, and he'll be able to perform, maybe not to the top 3, but to the middle range. I think he's right up there. All right, so let's go to the top 5. So 5, I have my top 5. Okay, you start with your 5 first.
All right, number 5 is Lamar Jackson. I think him and Kyler Murray have the biggest upside just because of their rushing ability. Lamar Jackson, when healthy, was a really good fantasy QB that one year. The one problem I have and why he's so low is that he has literally nobody besides Mark Andrews. Like, who's he gonna throw to? Rashad Bateman, the other guy. I don't even know. That's the only reason he's so high on the list. I think if he had more talent on his team, he'd be higher. But I just think because of his rushing abilities, he should be on top 5.
I think his effectiveness every year has seemed to be going down, and that's why I don't have Lamar Jackson in my 5. At number 5, I have Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow has better weapons. He's a better polished passer, and he can rush. And we've seen with his ability, even when he doesn't have a lot of time, he's got outstanding receivers to make plays for him when he has to toss it up. So Joe Burrow is number 5 on my list. Number 4 on my list, people are gonna laugh, and they might not agree with me. Number 5, I have Patrick Mahomes. Number 4, I have Patrick Mahomes for the Chiefs. Now, and it goes back into the argument. I think last year you saw issues with Patrick Mahomes, and he doesn't have Tyreek to bail him out. He does have Travis Kelce, he does have playmakers, but he lost a big chunk of his safety net. And we've seen when he gets a little pressure, he tries to make too much out of little, and that causes a lot of problems. And I think defenses are starting to gear up to stop Patrick Mahomes. And I think you're going to see a dip in his numbers. That's why I have him at number 4. A lot of people probably don't agree with me on that, but I have him at number 4.
Number 4, I have Kyler Murray. I just he has so much upside. Last year, first 6 to 7 games, he was the number 1 QB before he got hurt, and the Cardinals just started tanking for some weird reason. But if he stays healthy, he's a top 3 quarterback.
Top 2.
He can put up those numbers. We have seen it before. It's just, will he perform to that level? All right, number 3. This guy, or Justin Herbert. He's on a very good offense this year, has a lot of high expectations. I think he actually is a very good quarterback. The one problem is he's just such in a hard schedule and a stacked division that it could be either good or bad for him, because that means probably he could be playing with higher scores, so he could be running up the scoreboard more points, or it could be a defensive battle. He's just a really talented QB, and I think he should be number 3.
All right, I actually have Justin Herbert number 3 too. Justin Herbert's offensive skills, his passing ability, he probably throws one of the most beautiful balls in terms of just throwing it coming out of his hand. He's got a lot of weapons on the outside. He's got a good, solid running back core, and they're geared to put up points. They can score with anybody in the league, and Justin Herbert has shown that he can put up points. The problem is he going to get wins? Is he going to get the W's? He hasn't really won anything, but it doesn't really matter for fantasy purposes, but he is right now a top 3 fantasy quarterback. Number 2. I'm going to go with my brother, Kyler Murray. I have Kyler Murray number 2, and people are gonna chuckle and laugh. And I was gonna draft Kyler Murray early, but people drafted him really early. But the reason why I have Kyler up there is because of what Jacob talked about. Offensive rushing touchdowns for quarterbacks makes a big difference, and he is probably one of the most skilled runners besides maybe Lamar Jackson, but he's a better passer than Lamar, and he has weapons. I think you're going to see that if he can stay healthy, that's a big if, I understand that. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be in contention for the MVP, and then the Cardinals are going to go far. In the first 7-8 games of last year, when Kyler was healthy and Hopkins was healthy, we were undefeated, and we looked like the best team in the NFL. What it came down to is these continual injuries that Kyler sustains throughout the year. It adds up, and he doesn't make it through the end of the year. If he can somehow stay upright and be healthy, he will be an MVP candidate, and he will be justified my number 2 overall quarterback pick for him.
That's interesting. My number 2 is Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, big surprise.
I think he is the most talented QB in the league.
Not last year.
Well, he is the most in terms of skills. It doesn't mean on the field. But I don't think Tyreek Hill
makes huge.
I don't think it makes a huge difference. If he's the star quarterback and he's getting paid $500 million, he should be dominating without his best receiver. And
it's the same argument you can have with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is making $50 million a year.
Literally nobody. Romeo Dobbs, have you heard of that guy?
He has 2 outstanding running backs.
Alan Lazard.
He has 2 outstanding running backs.
Yeah, you can't throw dinkers and expect...
Yeah, he does. That's what he does. He controls the clock. That's what great quarterbacks do, is they make do if they have.
Well, Patrick Mahomes, their team they didn't get super good people, but they did get serviceable people. And I just think that, this
Who would you rather have, Tyreek or Devontae Adams?
Probably Devontae Adams.
Oh, come on. You're just saying that to support your argument. Tyreek's better than Devontae.
In terms of receiving, I think Travis Kelce is probably a better receiver on the
a safety
Chiefs.
net?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he still has the safety net on his team. I think that this is a very good offense, and I think it's always going to produce fantasy points for him.
All right. Who's your number 1?
It's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Best of both worlds for him. He's a really good thrower and he's a really good runner. He's 6'6" and he's really fast. You get a lot of good rushing and playmaking, of course, on throwing. Hope he throws a lot to Stephon Diggs this year. If you know, you know. But yeah.
I have Josh Allen. I mean, he's got everything. The only thing that I sometimes worry about him, sometimes he's not as accurate as some of these other quarterbacks, especially like Mahomes, Rodgers, and Justin Herbert. But in general, he's got all the physical tools that you need to have a franchise quarterback and to be a great fantasy player. They have definitely built around him where they have given him a lot of weapons in Diggs, Davis, and McKenzie. I mean, those are 3 very good receivers, and they lined himself up with a lot of capable running backs and a good offensive line. Josh Allen's going to have an MVP type year again, and he's going to lead the Bills very far. I think he's a clear-cut number 1 right now, but I think if Kyler stays healthy, I think Kyler can threaten Josh with similar stats or even better stats, because I think Kyler's actually probably a better passer. Not as much of, he's not a physical specimen like Josh Allen, but Kyler is probably a little better passer. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, hey, quarterbacks is an important position. Don't draft them too early. If you don't get one of the top 3, I would wait until the mid rounds or the late rounds and pick them up, because there isn't a big difference between 4 through 12. Yes. There is some difference between 1 through 12, but you got to be careful when you're drafting, because you're going to end up losing valuable space and roster space. And so, if you're lucky enough to get the top 3 or top 4 of them, the great. But if you don't, then you got to worry about where to get them in a value pick. Yep. So I hope you guys enjoyed episode 47 of My Take by John and Jacob. I'm John.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you later.